The US Defense and Foreign Affairs chiefs are beginning an Asian tour aimed at rallying support in the region. The first stop is Tokyo. Pentagon Chief Lloyd and Secretary of State Antony Blinken will meet Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. They will also head to South Korea. For more, Simon Marks is in Washington, D.C. Simon, what is the focus of these discussions going to be?
Well, Dawn, the effort is pretty basic in a couple of different ways. I mean, first of all, it is to communicate to governments in the region and people in the region that the United States is back in the business of creating and honouring international alliances. But here at home in the United States, it's also about explaining to Americans why it's important once again to re-engage on the global stage. And you can see that in the pages of the Washington Post today, an opinion piece co-authored by the Secretary of State and the Defense Secretary describing global alliances, the relationships with Japan and South Korea as force multipliers for the United States, and making it clear that the agenda for the meetings in Tokyo and later Seoul is going to be very broad. They write that they will be strategizing with America's partners and allies on how to deal with North Korea's nuclear aspirations, standing together in support of democratic values, collaborating on the full spectrum of new global security issues, including climate change, very important on Joe Biden's agenda, of course, as president, cybersecurity, health security and pandemic preparedness. And they're also going to seek to forge deeper economic ties between the peoples of the United States and Japan and South Korea, respectively. The background to all of this, of course, is China, with deep talks expected over the next few days so that the Biden administration can get a clearer picture of the current thinking in both Tokyo and Seoul on how the Biden administration can best approach China in the years ahead, reflective of the anxieties and concerns of partners and allies in the region.
How far, Simon, do you think these talks are going to lay the groundwork for those first in-person talks that you mentioned between China and the Biden administration? Those are expected next week.
Well, there's no question that White House administration officials say that it is inevitable that the Secretary of State and the Defense Secretary wanted to meet with their opposite numbers in Japan and South Korea before holding those talks in Anchorage, Alaska, with top Chinese diplomats in just a few days' time. And again, in their article in the Washington Post, they make it absolutely clear that China is very much a focus of these conversations as they prepare for those meetings. They say that China is all too willing to use coercion to get its way. Together, we will hold China accountable when it abuses human rights in Xinjiang and Tibet, systematically erodes autonomy in Hong Kong, undercuts democracy in Taiwan, or asserts maritime claims in the South China Sea that violate international law. So they're not only talking about all of that with their opposite numbers in Tokyo and Seoul, but they're preparing to raise those issues, plus also issues where the relationship between Washington and Beijing can be more collaborative when they sit down with China's top diplomatic officials in Anchorage a little bit later this week.
Many thanks for that update, Simon. Simon Marks there in Washington, D.C.